What's up, everybody? This is NBA at the Bar, and we're your host. I'm TA.
This G Money.
And we are here to talk some NBA action because it is fantastic. You remember that? That was that old school, right? Fantastic. Some of y'all might not know about that. That's that old school right there.
Yep.
But hey, super fired up, super excited about this week as we draw closer to the NBA trade deadline, because, you know, teams sit over here and kind of fix themselves. They kind of find the little holes that they have within their rosters. And so getting excited about that, getting excited as we get to the midway point and get into All-Star Weekend, because we know the action really picks up, the intensity and the urgency of the season really picks up on the back half of the year. But other than that, though, we're just glad to be here with you. And so with that being said, before we even get started, I need y'all to do me a very quick favor. I need you to sit down and download, like for us, and subscribe our episodes, because you know what? Every single week there are a few new of you, many new of you that are out here with us. And I need you to, again, subscribe, like, and download. And with that, what are you drinking on today, man?
I'm on the Jeffersons.
You on some Jeffersons? Moving on up.
Of the George family.
To the east side.
Yes,
yeah, you're sitting over here. So,
yes,
you know, that's a new drink for you. What do you think about it?
You know what? It's growing on me. I still love my scotch, but I will say that it's doing the deal.
I got my man on some bourbon whiskey blend.
I know. It sounds
a little bit different.
It's different, and it actually sounds dangerous when you talk about we're gonna blend the bourbon and whiskey, but it's actually they do a quality product, so it's good.
Good. And I'm drinking on some Cloud Chandelier, some more French.
Oh, look at you with
cognac.
Your fanciness.
I can't sit over here and deviate because y'all think I'd be wild and crazy and be tripping. Now, if you saw me on anything other than cognac, it would be a whole nother level of tripping and wild and crazy. So I like to stay, what I know
stay in
keeps
pocket.
Me calm. I want to stay in pocket.
Amen. Okay.
So, talk about staying in pocket. Let's talk about somebody who didn't stay in pocket, and that's our man Adrian Griffin, who unfortunately got let go, being the number 2 seeded team in the conference. Just got let go last week. And you know, but they brought a name that we all know and love, that we've all, grew up to. So we used to watch him back in the day with the Celtics
and the Atlanta Hawks.
And the Atlanta Hawks.
But I remember him from there.
Yeah, I remember him from there. Actually, I think was he with the Celtics as a player? It was only the Atlanta Hawks, wasn't it?
I don't. He played for a couple of teams, but I remember him
right when
playing
we were
with
young.
Dominique.
Right, so we got Doc back in the deal, and so first I want to see, what do you think about that hire?
Well, I would just say it was interesting how, let's say, Jubilee, they acted like they was just,
they threw a party.
Yeah, like they was emancipated from freedom. Like, oh my gosh. So the glee that came off of the team lets you know, okay, we did not respect this dude at all. However, the reality is that they were arguably number 2 and number 3. Not even arguably. They were. They all were and are number 2 and number 3 with the offense that he put in place and the defense that he put in place. But you know what? They, just like we've talked in episodes past, they are not the same formidable defense that they were, even last year, and certainly the year that they won the championship. So it's a weakness. And the players are still the players. So, will Doc now coming in, will he be the person who essentially give a rah-rah speech in the halftime that give them that motivation? Yeah. Probably so.
Right.
But I'm just kind of like...
But also experience, because this was a first-time head coach.
Yeah.
Here's my challenge with it is that, at the end of the day, this wasn't the team that he was actually given to start the season, that he was hired to sit over here and coach. It was a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Because again, the Dame trade hadn't been executed yet. So he was expecting the previous regime, the previous crop of players. And when you get hired and you start brainstorming, you sit over here and committing all this time into figuring out how to make this team work, and you put so much work into that game plan,
Right.
and then they switch out players, and you think, oh, it's just switching out a player or two. It's not that big of a deal. But the two players were so drastically different.
Yeah.
What was the guard that
Holiday,
right? So Drew Holiday's a grinder. He's sitting completely different from Dame. Dame is an offensive player. Drew Holiday was much more of a game manager, much more of a grinder and defensive presence. And so when he created the defense for them, it was with the Drew Holiday in mind. And now he tried to adapt that with Dame, and we saw a plummet in terms of their defensive efficiency.
Yeah. Look, just as you articulated, let's say Drew Holiday is probably in that 6'5", 6'6" kind of like height-wise.
Bigger, longer,
and he's a dog. And he will basically be the head of the snake. He will be the point of attack. He will be the person more often than not that will guard the best guard for any opposition. And he's a problem. He will make things a problem. And that allowed for Giannis to roam and virtually everybody else in their rotation to roam efficiently. You have taken that away, and what you've replaced it with is somebody who is an offensive nuclear weapon.
Correct.
So you're replacing offense for defense, and it makes sense. And you guys are currently, I think they're number 2 in the West.
Two in the East, right.
So it's not like that
they weren't failing. They weren't failing.
No. And it's not like that that's a bad thing. I mean, at the end of the day, you're proving it. But this is about the playoffs. We all know this is about how they're going to deliver in the playoffs. And they do need to get their, let's say, their defensive scheme together, because they know that they're going to face the best of the best, the top 3, 4 in the East at some point. And when you're talking about a 7-game series, they need to be efficient at that. So what they replaced their coach with was somebody who is a inspirational leader. I think that they've done Doc a disservice, because
he says it himself. It's the hardest thing he's ever had to deal with.
Look, he doesn't have his assistants. He doesn't put in his system, or now he has to try and implement pieces of his system, because I don't think that he can throw out the baby with the bathwater now, because they're in the middle of the season.
Right.
So he has to go with what it is that they're doing.
But an experienced coach can do that, right?
And I think that he will. So to me, this is more about the voice in the room, and then the superstars have to essentially listen to him, a la Phil Jackson to Kobe Shaq.
So like, you perceive that as a good hire?
It's a good hire. It's a Hollywood hire, if you will, because
it was a name.
Yeah, he's a name. He's proven. He's won a championship. He's been in high leverage moments often. So, okay, I get it, but I don't know if it's going to be a difference maker per se. It could.
Well, how much difference can you make when you're the number 2? I mean, other than them jumping to the number 1, how much really big of a difference you can make? I don't think they made this move to make a difference now. I think, we'll see how smart it was, but if it was on the smart side of decision making, then what they're looking at is into the future and into the playoffs. And what can he do with into the playoffs? But that's what's tricky about it, because Doc has been as a perception around the league from players and from some pundits as well, is that he can't close the deal in terms of the season. Yes, he got a championship out of Boston with the big 3 with KG and Ray Allen,
and Perkins,
which was a phenomenal team. Actually, was the first super team that was put together, right? But he wasn't able to get it done with the Clippers. He wasn't able to get it done with Philly, and so there's a lot of criticism about Doc. I mean, they have some former players that have come out that have not been the greatest fan of his. I saw Gilbert Arenas that stood over here and asserted, did the team actually look at his resume, because he's not he doesn't get it done outside of that phenomenal team that he had in Boston. So there actually is some doubt with Doc, and many people thought that Doc was basically out the league. When you get retreaded another 2 more times and don't have don't have the result that was what was
Right.
expected, they thought he was done. And I think he might have even thought he was done, that I'm going to just be in the broadcast booth and make this easy money. But again, opportunity comes a knocking, and he had an opportunity to get back there in the big seat with a phenomenal a couple of phenomenal superstars with Damian Lillard and
Giannis.
and Giannis, and so and a team that's really positioned and poised to make some. So this is the time that Doc's going to have to shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
There's no more excuses. There's no more reasoning or justification to not get
I
it
agree.
done.
The only thing that's left on Doc's resume is he needs to win another ring.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what he has proven is that doesn't matter what team, whether you talk about the Clippers, the 76ers, obviously the Celtics, he's going to get a team to the playoffs. And what people are marginalizing is it's not easy to get to the playoffs.
Right.
That is not a foregone conclusion.
Mm-hmm. But he keeps going to teams that have championship aspirations.
Yeah, but they may not have the players that are executing, because look, at the end of the day, this is about you galvanizing men and motivating them and having them be singularly focused on the task at hand. But you have to have the men in the room that are better than the guys in the other locker room.
And that's where the problem is.
He doesn't always have that.
Well, with the Clippers and Philly, many people believe he did.
And so I would have to say they did not.
With which team?
I actually think that the Philly teams that he had.
I mean, you're talking about he had Harden, he had Embiid.
Harden is a loser.
Yep. You gotta go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're
I'm
right.
Sorry.
You're 100% right.
He's going to go down, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but he's a loser.
This is a Clipper team that could go. You might have to eat the words at the end of the season.
And you know what? And I would welcome James Harden to prove me wrong and have me eat all my words.
Take a napkin right here.
But as of I think I've seen, I don't know, 5 or 6 playoff
at least
scenarios
at
right
least,
now.
Yeah.
He wets the bed in the big moment.
Every single time.
So nah. And at the end of the day, it's really he just did not have the Stallions to take him to the promised land. And the one time he did with Rondo, KG, and everybody else, they won. All right.
Speaking of Rondo, free Rondo. Free
Rondo. Oh man.
So at the end of the day, is Doc the man for this job to take this team that made this trade to sit over here and put this together? And obviously there's still a couple things they need to do by the end of the trade deadline. But is this the man to take this team not just deep into the playoffs, not just to the playoffs, deep into the playoffs?
Yeah, they want to win a ring, period.
But at least, forget about winning the ring, at least getting them to the show. Can he get them to the show?
Yes. Look, let's not be silly. Okay, with all of the things that we just talked about with their defensive efficiencies, they're number 2 in the East.
Right.
And they just bounce back and forth between 2 and 3, because
no, they've been no. They've been hardcore too. Philly has been lacking.
Okay, but Philly is good enough to
usurp them at some point in time.
At some point, they're close. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
So look, yes, Doc is the guy. Doc is the person that is going to get the respect from the superstars. And if I'm an owner, I just want
that's all you ask for.
I just want you guys to listen to the head coach.
What you said was so pertinent to this situation. Unfortunately, Adrian Griffin didn't have the respect of the superstars on that team. And so, and I think at the end of the day,
saw him as like, hey, bro, you're an assistant coach over here trying to tell us what to do.
But the challenge is they did interviews as players. I've never heard of that. Players, they did like 14 or something interviews with coaches, and he was one of them, and they chose him.
Yeah.
So
and then they hated on him. They did a ding dong to Witch's Dead.
And then Giannis was like, I don't know what happened. So okay.
Yes, you
do. Okay. So moving on to another perennial top tier team, but let's jump over to the West Coast Conference, and we look at the Timberwolves that have ensemble, in my opinion, interesting, but I think a good team. Like it kind of fits, it kind of works, and that's
Yeah.
why they've been number one seed since almost the beginning of the season, and they haven't lost it. There hasn't been a fallback by this team, but I am starting to see. Maybe I'm going a little bit too far, but kind of cracks in the armor. And really, the question I got for you is can they withstand the pressure of the expectations of a championship?
Yeah.
Because kind of that's where you thrust yourself into when you go through 40% of the season and you've been the perennial number one seed in the most talent filled conference in the league. I'm seeing AE act a fool. I'm seeing him lashing out and speaking out, but not in a positive or a constructive sense.
Yeah, he's angry about refs.
He's right, and all this stuff. And for me, because we never heard about this happening before, that traditionally means that the pressure's starting to get to him a little bit. And so my question for you is that do you think that this team can rise above it all and meet the expectations, or is it like the old adage, pressure busts pipes, and they're going to fall victim to the pressure that they're under?
Well, I think that question is something that we can't answer until the playoffs. However, my forecast or my prognostication for them is that they're going to fold because I don't believe in Minnesota. Now, the thing is, on paper and through the regular season, they are boo-bopping most of the league, and they're doing it. But when the rubber meets the road, and when it's a 7-game series, do you think that am I going to rely on the success of Rudy Gobert? Or, and Edwards is obviously a talent. And listen, it's not that they're devoid of talent.
Let's not forget about Cat. Let's not forget you over here just disrespecting Cat. And you know what? I've always disrespected Cat, but I've grown a certain level of respect for him. During this season. But I will what I do want to say, just to kind of differentiate a little bit from what you're saying, and not to say that you're wrong in what you just said or what you just asserted, but if they run the gamut the whole year at number one,
they could.
Because wetting the bed traditionally happens because the pressure is going to continue to mount, especially after All-Star Week. Is going to really start being heavy on them, and if they're able to withstand that, they might sit over here and get comfortable with it by the time the playoffs come.
You know what they remind me of is it's almost like a big brother little brother like rivalry, right? So how or a father son rivalry. We might go out in the backyard and we go play some pickup games. And, it's like, you're so determined to beat me. And, and then you will go ahead and just put all your whole life on the line. I want to die.
I remember them games in your front yard. In your front yard over the garage.
Be careful. But it's that kind of feel with Minnesota.
Right. I agree with you. That's a great way to paint the picture. Yes, without a doubt.
They feel like the little brother. They feel like the angry little brother that's trying to prove themselves. And look, I'm number one in the West. I'm that dude. And then it's like, okay, because when the playoffs comes, it's like, okay.
But I've been waiting for them to take that step back. And they haven't.
They have not.
And the other teams, Oklahoma surged.
Correct.
They've fallen back a little bit as a young team that it kind of has the same aura, the same mentality, or the same overall viewpoint. It's like the little brother, like they surged and then have fallen back, but we haven't seen them fall back. So I'm just excited to see. I hope that they do. I'm a super uber. If y'all don't sit over and check out the IG, check out the IG. You're always going to see something with Ant-Man because he's always doing something spectacular. So I look and find
Yes.
plays and just boost and just dunking on somebody to get him on there because he's such an exciting
I
player.
will say this, though, in fairness to them, they have assembled a team that I think that could do it. They have. The evidence is in the season.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, are you going to be Denver? Are you going to be the team to usurp Jokic? And so, because when everybody gets laser focused in the playoffs, are you going to be the team?
You know why I think they can? And it's very rarely do you see teams that have a big three or a pseudo big three that are structured like they are, where they have two bigs that are part of their big three with Cat and Gobert.
Rudy Gobert.
Gobert.
So you're supposed to know French.
Yeah, I know. I'm drinking enough cognac. I should be fluent.
Yeah, man. You're supposed to say "comme ci, comme ça."
Between those two, like the team is set up differently. You follow what I'm saying? And it's just a unique setup. The team is unique, and then you have the young upstart, the young bull, and Anthony Edwards, that man sitting over coming through, trying to take people's heads
and
off.
I'm over here dealing with people that are ice fishing in the middle of the day. And damn it,
it ain't shit to do. Yeah. It's too cold to go to the club, so they got to stay focused.
But
you know what I'm saying? That most teams are kind of, you have a couple of guards and a big man if you have a big three, or a guard forward and a big man. When they have two relative bigs,
they have two centers, and they happen to have a center that can stretch and become a stretch forward.
And then one is a committed defensive force.
And the reason why that they're so formidable is because both of their two, let's say, forward centers are 7 feet tall, and they are shot blockers.
Yes.
So it makes it damn near impossible to drive on them, and then they can hit you on the offense.
That's why I think this team is perfectly set up to unseat.
There's another thing that I want to add to that. Slow-mo. Slow-mo is the UCLA cat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's got damn near 7. Well, he got long arms. He's damn near a 7 feet wingspan.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a
long
super dude long arms. Mm-hmm. He's probably like 6'8", 6'9", and he's really like a point forward.
But I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, and he is slow-mo.
But not being as long and lanky in the legs to where he can't move with them. So, I mean, it's a very uniquely constructed team.
Yes, and they have Conley.
Correct.
Who's a good traditional point guard.
Good traditional point and a workman.
Yeah.
So I love how the team's set up. I can't wait till we're into May.
Yeah.
Late April, May. And really see where this team is, because they're only going to gel more. They're only going to sit over here and figure out how to do it.
This is a proven year for them. It's a proven year.
Right.
You're number one in the West. If you, let's say, ride it out, even if you play 500 ball the rest of the way, there's a likelihood that you're going to be number one, maybe number two seed.
Not at 500. But I know what you're saying. Like they can absorb some losses, and still maintain their level.
Correct.
But the West got them dogs in it. Denver is not laying down.
And the trade deadline has not occurred yet.
Correct. So we don't know where these teams are going to be reconfigured. That's why I always like to talk about what does everything look post All-Star break, because it will be a whole new landscape out there in terms of who these teams are.
Yes.
To finish off the season. But I will tell you, I am excited about that. But I got to tell you about this. There's something else that and this is like a I'm not proud to say I'm excited about this, and most folks aren't.
Okay.
But our man from New Jersey. Not New Jersey. From Brooklyn.
I know, and I say the same thing.
Yeah, I know. I always get mixed up with that. That's Brooklyn, old school. But yeah, Brooklyn. Let me show you that respect.
Boogie down Brooklyn. Okay.
But I've been brutal on this man. I've been
Oh,
brutal on Ben Simmons
I know
for the
you're
last 2-3 years in terms of the fragility, the weakness,
the mental weaknesses. I think is
yes,
what he's been tagged with.
correct. But on the flip side is I'm so excited he's back. I think because I was such a huge fan when he was at LSU that I expected so much of him in the NBA, and he has lived up to that. But as hard as I've been on him, I'm just as excited about him being back, playing, getting past his injuries and getting out there and helping this team that has not wavered in terms of their support for him. And now he's out there and had a good first game back.
He sure did.
So what do you think about what does this season hold for Ben Simmons moving forward?
Okay, you know what? Ben Simmons is always being sneaky good because look, he doesn't shoot, okay, at all.
But unless it's a dunk or a layup.
Yeah, but he's a 6'9" guard, point guard, and he's been trained in tutelage in the game of point guard, but he's 6'9", so that means that I can play this man at power forward, and then in some scenarios I could play him at center, and he has all of the gifts that could translate to him being Magic Johnson light. He will never be light. He will never be,
and not just light skin, just light.
Light, yeah. Please don't get confused. I am not comparing this man to Magic Johnson, but I've seen him play even when in his rookie year in the summer league. And look, he has crossovers. He can get into the hole. He can get in the paint anytime he feels like it. He can rebound, and he's got court vision. So the Magic Johnson-esque part of it is there. Is he has court vision.
Here's what he needs. This is a component that has been missing, that if he can just add this component to his game, he can actually live up to that moniker. That's just having fun.
Yeah.
Remember, that was Magic's deal when he was in the league, is he just had fun playing.
And Magic wanted to win at a level that I think that we've only seen in a handful of people.
We're probably asking a little bit too much for the winning aspect. I just want the young man to have fun.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're going to get the best out of. Enjoy the job. Don't worry about what people are saying. Don't sit over here and concern yourself with the scrutiny that is outside of your bubble, and just sit over here and say, I'm going to play and have fun. And it was so funny when I saw him getting ready for the game. You could see the nervousness in him. You could
really
see
and I didn't watch the game, so okay.
You could see the uneasy. I had to see it. Was he going to fall completely on his face, or was he going to sit over?
But he balled.
But he balled and he played well. But again, that's still just one game.
Yeah,
and we have to see. Where is he going to be at 20 games from now? Will he even last to be out 20 games from now before he feels some kind of way and then comes up with another injury that's going to have him out for the rest of the season?
You know what? And I don't. The one thing that I will always respect about athletes is that I don't know the severity of, let's say, injuries, right? So he's had a back issue for a while, and a back issue took Larry Bird out of his career,
without a doubt.
Larry Bird would have probably had statistically some of the best numbers in the world. It's just his back gave out on him. So a back is a serious thing. And
it affects all movement.
Yes. And Simmons has had a back injury, but he's rehabbed, he's come back, and he's that guy. So to the answer to the question from my perspective is, it just depends on how available he will be.
That it depends on all of that. If he could just sit over here, and I would just love for him to make that commitment to himself, that I'm going to be available for this team because they stood by me. So I'm going to sit over here. And the reality is he's not the differentiating factor, I don't think, that's going to get them into the playoffs. He could get them into the play-in. I think he would be revered for that.
Yes. You know what's really exciting? Because if you look at the personnel when you talk about was it Cam Johnson, Brooklyn actually has a really good team.
They got
Spencer
a young.
Dinwiddie,
They're spry.
Yeah,
they can sit over here and get active if they just all move in the same direction.
If they could mess around and like slip into the 8th seed, and let's say they play the Celtics do not want to face them at all.
The Celtics, I think, would get through that, but it would be it wouldn't be a sweep. It would be a hell of a. It would be a hell of a series. It would be a fun series in the first round. Yeah.
That would be like primetime television. Brooklyn versus the Celtics, because I think if Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons in all his grandeur, he could shock and awe.
But what he has to do is he has to go to IFA. And many people don't know what IFA is, but he got to go shake that Kardashian stink off of.
Oh, the Kardashians.
The Kardashian curse. That stink that's on him.
Well, listen,
he got to shake it off.
Whatever. Kim, I love you. I love your pictures.
So look, staying in the Big Apple, the Knicks. Man, you want to talk about this is why you hear me talk about week over week about this trade deadline and how one little trade can make a world of difference in a team. Because we've seen New York flirting with being good and make one trade and bring in that one missing piece that they need, and now they some bad man pajamas.
Yeah.
And so, your boy, Julius Randle, dislocated his shoulder, going to be out for a little bit. It's tough. And we got to talk a little bit about what the prognostication, the forecast is going to be for him long term for this season, because of he's a bull in a china shop. What type of player he's going to be able to be after this injury. But really the real question is one, they're on a 7-game win streak, so they've continued winning since he's been hurt.
Yeah,
but really, can they keep that up?
Yes, I think so.
I think they have a new or a renewed confidence in themselves and the organization and the team of what, like they kind of see it like, oh shit, we can be good. And I think they see it, they believe it, and they're playing like it even with Julius being out. But I wanted to hear your thoughts on that. I know that's your other team.
So yeah, no, and I actually really do like the Knicks, especially when they got Anunoby. I think that was a very, very smart decision. But let's not be confused. I'm going to ask you, what's the name of their point guard?
Brunson? Bad boy.
So,
second generation. Them second generation kids is built different.
Brunson he's a let's say a little guard. But he is a monster. And he can get into any space, and he is fearless, and the Dallas Mavericks are crying every single solitary day that they let him go. Even though that they have, what's our boy, the shooting guard that's playing with Luka right now? Kyrie. Thank you. See, that was the Jeffersons.
Let's pour you some more Jeffersons.
Yeah, give me some more Jeffersons. But look, even though they have that guy, they miss that the dynamicism of Brunson. Jalen Brunson is the Knicks right now. He is the straw that is stirring the drink no matter what.
I would agree.
And now when you have DiVincenzo, you have Anunoby, you have Hart, you have Hartenstein, all of those guys are all basically like multi-componented players, but they're playing in a system to where they can be free because they have a coach that is defense first, but they're all like, let's say, athletes that can play above their height level.
Right.
So they're dogs in their own right. So it's not that they don't need Julius Randle. They do. They need
They
him.
definitely do. But it's a
these
it's
guys
a team
are
of
rising
dogs.
to the occasion.
The rising to the occasion, which all of that does is it gives some players some experience to prepare for their postseason, because this is a team that can get active
Bing bang.
in the postseason. So yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I love what they're doing. I love that they put together a nucleus. They got some players that, and I think the trade with Toronto had less to do with the players not being good, but more to do with the players not having the necessary dog in them.
Yeah.
That this team wanted to be its culture.
Yes.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. Look, and look, when they got Anunoby, he's basically, at the end of the day, he was just somebody who could consistently hit a shot, and then they needed a small forward / shooting guard who could consistently hit a shot and then also defend. And
also defend, and that's what they didn't have with my man from Duke. What's his name?
I can't remember.
Yeah, who came back and had a hell of a game when he came back and one of his best games of the season after the trade that Toronto played New York.
Yeah,
and came back. And I had high hopes for him coming from Duke.
Yeah,
and
me too.
But he hasn't quite lived up to it. Because you look at him and then you look at what's my man from New Orleans that came from Duke too, that we always on.
Oh, you talking about chicken and biscuit?
Hey, we obviously see they weren't that focused on the game.
Yeah.
But and so we see that. But Anunoby has brought a renewed focus. He wanted to get out of Toronto, just getting back into America, getting back into and seeing the opportunity of what it's like being in a big market.
Yeah.
And he's making the most of it. And so I for the first time since probably Patrick Ewing and what's my light skinned cat they used to play with Patrick Ewing back as John Starks.
Oh,
since I haven't felt this good about that team since then. So
you know what? And I really got to give a lot of love to Hardenstein, because Hardenstein, when I saw him with the Rockets,
you love some Hardenstein.
What I saw with him when he played with the Rockets, I saw basically a potential for a guy to be a triple-double guy at center.
Right.
And it's
very true.
It's very similar to like Sabonis. He's Sabonis light. He's not as good. He's not as, let's say, consistent as a Sabonis that plays for the Sacramento Kings. But he has the same skill set. And so
I think he has a little bit more grit.
Well, I wouldn't say that he has more
ethic. Actually, not grit, but ethic. He fits with this team.
Yeah,
and he loves the team. Like you can tell that when he's playing. Like there's a certain excitement. And like grit was the wrong word because he ain't grinder.
No.
That's not him. But he brings all the other intangibles, and he leaves a grit for the brothers.
Yeah.
For everybody else.
And you know what? The only difference is that Sabonis has a different level of confidence. So Sabonis goes into the game expecting to get a triple-double with 20 points, and I think that he defers. So it's almost like a coach has to tell him, hey, bro, we want you to get 30, 10, and 7 assists.
I don't know if quite he got that in him, but
the ability is there. That's all I'm saying.
I would agree.
The ability is there.
I would agree. So we just talked about a team that's gone 7 straight. I don't care what you talk about.
New York,
the league is so.
They love their happy hours right now.
They unequivocally do. But going 7 straight in the NBA at this point is not easy. There's so much talent out there,
isn't it?
But on the flip side, losing 7 straight when you have talent, when you have good players, should be just as difficult. And so, the real question is that I got for you is Miami broken? I know they have some injuries and so on and so forth, but losing 7 straight, but this is kind of what they do. But I want to hear your thoughts on Miami.
Miami is always the team that you want to overlook, because when you look at them and you look at their personnel, you will be like, y'all shouldn't win. And there are moments when they don't, but they are the perpetual 8th seed
that comes back and getting that ass. Right.
That goes to the finals.
That's going to ruin a couple of teams' seasons. Yeah.
They are the fly in the ointment. They are the one that'd be like, hey, guess what, fellas?
Yeah.
I know that you great season for you.
Mm-hmm.
Clap, clap.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? You're going home. And we're advancing.
Right.
We're advancing to the conference finals and the
Mm-hmm.
finals because Jimmy Buckets plays for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He's not
necessarily
necessarily concerned about the regular season. And Tyler Hero is the same way.
But you know why? Because you don't win championships in the regular season. You only win them in the playoffs.
Right. So as much
Tyler
as
Hero,
as much as it's let's say problematic that they are falling, but they're still the 7th seed.
But my thought process is you can only, in my opinion, play that game for so long because the players get older each and every single year. So if you play that game from 3 years ago, from the bubble time, well, all the players, that nucleus of that team was 3 years younger.
Yeah.
4 years younger back then. You understand what I'm saying? And so when you want to continuously keep that cycle going of we're going to underachieve to keep within our strength and our powers, and this kind of explode on people, well, that explosion becomes dampened. Those skill sets that you're kind of hiding till the playoffs become duller. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
like the team. I think they need to transition into, we're not going to be that team anymore. We're going to be a team that's going to sharpen, so we can be ready for the playoffs simply because we're older.
Yes. Look, they've had a couple injuries. Jaquez got hurt.
Did you try to do the Spanish and Jaquez?
Yeah, I did. I did.
The J with the H? Okay.
Did you see my fancy?
I heard like, what?
Jaquez.
I know. We're in America, Jaquez.
Okay. Then look, Fragilla. Tortilla chips.
Right,
anyway,
exactly.
My point is...
Are you
Cuban? Oh, that made me laugh. But anyway, the point is that, you know what? They've had a couple of like key injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I think any basketball player or any basketball watcher knows is that Miami is not as concerned about, and maybe they should be, but it's just not what they traditionally have done. They're not as concerned about standings.
Right.
They just feel like, I just need to get into the dance.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get into the dance,
we got action.
And can you beat me 4 times in a row? I think not.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't care where we play. We can play on the moon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not about to beat me. And that's the mentality of the Heat. Mm-hmm. So it's like you see that. They're more concerned about, oh, okay, well, let me make sure you got an owie. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like San Antonio when San Antonio was good. Mm-hmm. You know, Popovich just said, oh, okay, well,
he invented the game.
These guys can rest.
He invented that.
Rest. And maybe we will play as hard this game, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. But they have a formula that they know that they can execute at the highest level. And everybody should be afraid of them because I wouldn't want to play Miami in the first round.
No.
No.
That's the only team I don't want to play in the first round.
Hell no.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I just think that, you can only do the same thing in a league that's constantly evolving. The players in it are constantly evolving.
Yeah.
What works and what doesn't work is constantly evolving. You can only play the same role for a little bit of a time before it comes back and bites you in the ass.
Yeah.
And what my concern is for this year and moving forward is what has worked for them in the last 3 to 4 years will come back to bite them in the ass.
You know what? If there is a year to where it could bite them in the ass, it would be this
year. Right. The NBA is so much different than the NBA that we grew up in. And we kind of saw we saw a player or two do special things. We've seen Jordan,
Yeah.
having a 63-point game in the playoffs, or a Larry Bird exploding, but it was a much more team-centric game, and the game has evolved into mega stars doing mega things in games.
Yeah.
And what we've seen, and it's so funny, just since our last show, we saw like 3 people pop off with a 60-plus point game.
Yeah.
And with Lucas sitting over here getting, 73?
Yeah, he got 73. He did.
What are your thoughts about these offensive explosions that are happening in the NBA? And what do you think it's conducive of? Are the players have just gotten that great, or do you think it's because defense has not been an emphasis?
I 1,000% think that defense has not been an emphasis. The most disappointing thing about the league, even though let's say it's more entertaining to watch, visually you want to see the guys that the stars that you love, you want to see them score 30 and 40. But what a part of what I think the NBA is missing is what made Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird so prolific was they had to go through a meat grinder of defenses that were geared to stop them, and a Kobe Bryant, they surpassed it with the meat grinder. So the thing that is disappointing about the league now is they let everybody score.
Everybody.
There's no such thing as block out. There's no such thing as box out.
It's not just the Jordans or the Magics, or Magic was never like that, but not the Jordans or the Larry Bird.
But Magic would score when he wanted to.
Right, but it's not the greats that are getting, or like the Kobe's, the Jordans, the Kobe's that are getting into those 60, 70, 80. It's like, man, it's like the homie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
whip for 60.
There's too much of an Olay fest
to
the rim.
Yes, yeah. To the rim. Nobody is getting put on their asses.
Yes.
And sitting over having a question on, do I go back up in there?
I think that because both of us played high school basketball and we watched basketball played at the highest level, and to a certain degree, I would have to say, I give you credit, not me, but I'll give you credit. You played high school basketball at the highest level, because when you played basketball, your team they were like number 1 or 2 or 3 in the country. In the country, right? Westchester was it. So there was like an expectation of, this is a hard road to hoe. They used to teach us about boxing out and swim moves and
it's like AAU ball in the league now.
And now I whether I'm watching the NBA or I'm watching high school basketball, I literally see these guys are trying so hard to be stretch fours that they're not doing the basic fundamental things that will win a game. And it's like disappointing.
I see it all the time. My son playing high school ball now. And he plays JV, but we always stay and watch the varsity game. And the varsity team is immensely talented, but they lose games because of that same fact that you said.
Fundamentals.
The fundamentals aren't there anymore. And when the fundamentals aren't there, it's not that the fundamentals aren't there necessarily for offense, which they aren't, but they found other creative ways to sit over here and still be productive on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
What we're seeing is from defensively and in the rebound department, that gray area in the game, things that we used to work on 15, 20 minutes of practice or every other practice is just completely not worked on now.
And it's very disappointing because, and now you see that also translating into the highest league in the world. So what I'm seeing too much of is guys not closing out.
Not closing out hard.
Giving up Yes,
Giving up on a play when a cat passes by them, they don't hustle to get back to try to stop them.
And I think from a fan's perspective, you get paid millions of dollars. We're just pundits talking smack, but you get paid millions of dollars to do this one thing. Why don't you run aggressively out and make sure that you make that person feel uncomfortable? Why don't you box out? Why don't you make sure that if Luka says, I want to go in here and do this Euro step, that he's going to get a 2-piece and a biscuit?
He ain't got 1 2-piece or biscuit since he been in the league. Right. That's a problem.
Yeah, I'm like, somebody needs to say, guess what, bruh? Not today. It's not going to happen.
Hey,
and they're not doing that.
Shout out to Boosie Badass that sat over and got that Luka jersey after he scored, 73? Man, Luka's sitting over here doing the deal. But it was like there were 460 plus, if I'm not mistaken, I might be a little bit off on that in terms of within the last week. And probably I am. But I just saw something online where it was like 4 individuals that had 60 to 70 points. And it's like,
that's insane to me.
That's insane.
That's insane.
That means that means people ain't going nobody. People are so here. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day, and then I'm gonna pat you on the back, and then we
pat him straight on the booty, and then after the game, hug him and give him love.
Hugging,
and then talk about, can I have your jersey? Oh my God!
Listen, I'm not. I don't come from that creed. No. Okay, look. If you wear a different jersey, you my enemy. Now I might have came up with you, and we friends and everything, and I might give you a head nod or whatever thing. But bro, we ain't doing all this hugging stuff. Yeah. There's too much like love fest going on. Yeah. There needs to be like we drawing lines.
Not just in basketball, but it's Lakers, but that's how you know it's generational. It's not just in basketball, in football. I see sitting over here jersey exchanges in every game. Instead of somebody sitting over here like Aaron Donald trying to take a fade at the end of the game. Like, what part of the game is we friends? Right. We can be friends in the off season, but during the season, we got beef. And I'm just like,
I will make up. This is one of the things that I love about Jordan and Shaq and people like that, is they will make up reasons to not like you. Because the truth of the matter is that
they have that edge.
Yeah.
They have that chip.
Yeah. If you're not, let's say, if you're not on my team, you're the enemy. And I destroy all enemies like a Terminator. There's a mentality that comes with competition. And if I want to truly be the best, and what I think that these players are missing in general, if I truly want to be the best, then I have to destroy all comers.
That's called malice. And what they're missing is malice. And I came from a business where it said, the lack of malice leads to skinny kids.
Okay.
So if you don't have that in you, then guess what? You ain't going to get paid.
Yeah.
And it's a lack of malice because everybody now in the NBA gets paid.
Yeah.
But let's go.
Yeah, they're on the fat of the land.
They're on the fat of the land.
I get it.
But let's go sit over here and nip this in the booty. Because speaking of Luka, who had a phenomenal game, and it looks great. And I've seen Luka, and I'm not a long-term convert. I'm a short-term convert in terms of appreciating and respecting.
Yeah,
and loving.
I like Luka.
Yeah, I didn't like him a couple of years ago.
You know what? You already know. I said low key, he's like my favorite player. I said low key,
that's a little offensive, but okay, yeah, I get it though, because he's a monster.
Yeah, he is.
What he is he's a monster. But every blue moon, some cats like yourself get behind your skis and go too far. And so Jay Kidd, and for those of you who don't know who Jay Kidd is, it's Jason Kidd, who used to be a point guard in the NBA.
Hall of Famer.
I can remember when I was a young person, and Jay Kidd's a few years older than me, and them talking about how he was the greatest person since sliced bread, and he was like the next Magic, and ended up kind of being that. Had a great NBA career. Right. Low-key became a phenomenal coach for the Dallas Mavericks, so on and so forth. But he had the audacity to purse his lips and say that Luka is in the same realm as Michael Jordan.
You told me that earlier.
And that was offensive to me.
Ooh.
because one, not that the talent's not there, but Michael Jordan wasn't just talent. Michael Jordan was grit. Michael Jordan was urgency. Michael Jordan was desire.
Yeah.
I think J Kidd needs to go look at The Last Dance and get a review on who Michael Jordan was, and I just don't see those attributes, those characteristics in Luka. So I know how you can go out on a limb. Do you put Luka in that same category with MJ, or was J Kidd's tripping?
No, I do not. But I think I understand why he said that because because Luka in this we just finished talking about defenses, right? So what Luka is doing is Luka is essentially dominating the league, similar to what I would say. I think Jokic is dominating
or
the
has
league.
dominated the league.
Yes, from his position, I think Luka is dominating the league.
Is Luka your MVP?
No, I won't say that right now.
So he's playing well. Nominating is
it
should be left for the league MVP.
The thing is,
Embiid
I
gets
think
busy.
Yes, I think the truth of the matter is that the Dallas Mavericks are constructed to be competitive, but I don't see them winning in a 7-game series. However,
even with Kyrie,
but it's not about the guards.
Right, it's not about the guards. Right, it's
the big
or the lack thereof.
Yeah,
a big man.
Hardaway is good. Hardaway is good. Obviously, we know they have Kyrie. Obviously. At the end of the day, when you win a 7-game series, I gotta get the ball. I got to score when it has to happen. And when you're talking about relying upon a guard to give you the absolute, we have to score right now, and you're relying on that guy, you're gonna lose. That's just the reality of it.
In the playoffs, write down, take a picture.
Write down, take a picture.
Especially in the West.
So what it is Jokic is low key. It is Joel.
You still think Denver got action? I don't think Denver got action. I think they was a one-trick pony.
No, that's interesting. I think that the problem that people are going to face with Denver is that they have no weakness. So,
but they also have no greatness outside of one individual, outside of Jokic. Outside of Jokic, and that's why Minnesota is like that kryptonite.
The only thing that I can tell you is that we'll see, because I could be wrong, but I just
we got to see how all this shit shakes out.
But
All-Star.
And I realize that I'm getting off track.
You do.
So, I do. the Jefferson.
That bourbon twist is a little bit different.
The Michael Jordan comparison is,
I think it's a slap in the face. I think it's a slap in the face for anybody of our generation that J Kidd comes from that lived through that.
Yes.
Like Luka ain't MJ.
No, because the thing
he's skilled, he's great, and all that. But he ain't MJ.
I think that people don't realize in that, whether or not you watch highlights, whether or not you watch "Come Fly with Me," the documentary on Michael Jordan.
I don't Come Fly with Me.
What you don't realize, I went there. I went there.
Jesus Christ, Come Fly with Me.
The thing that people don't understand is that Michael Jordan had a maniacal obsession.
Phenomenal word choice.
It was you will never beat me. From my cold dead hand will I allow you to.
And Luka don't have that.
And I don't think Luka has that.
So J Kidd with that disrespectful commentary, but
calm down.
calm down.
Yeah, take a couple
Settle
steps back.
yourself because that's not for real.
There was a maniacal thing about Michael Jordan. The only other individual that I've seen, and it could be argued that there was two.
Don't disrespect.
Larry Bird and
whoa. It was Kobe.
No.
And LeBron.
No. I would say Kobe, if I'm going to say 4. Kobe had it.
Yeah, Kobe without a doubt.
Kobe had it. To a certain degree, Shaq had it too.
Yes, I would agree with that too. I was going to say that. Yeah, I agree.
Shaq had it too. But there's a certain attitude about these. And
I can't hate that Larry didn't have it. I mean, I agree with you. Larry had it.
Larry had it.
Don't act like LeBron don't.
No, LeBron.
You don't get there as many times as he's gotten there.
No,
by not having it.
No, but what I would say about LeBron is the difference between LeBron wants to make friends. LeBron is like, oh, okay, until we can.
Can you be a nice killer? Huh? Can you be a nice?
Hell no. Hell no. You're either a killer or you're not.
Well, LeBron is going to sit over and say, I'm going to straddle the line. I'm going to be a nice guy.
I know. Till I'm not.
Till I'm not. Right.
Yeah. Hey, do I think that the LeBron has that DNA in him? Absolutely.
Unequivocally, yes.
Absolutely. 1,000%. LeBron will rise to the occasion.
That was an equation.
Yeah, I know. Jefferson. But when you talk about I don't care, you're not beating me today, that kind of mentality, Kobe had that. Michael Jordan had that. Magic Johnson had that.
You know who don't have that?
Larry Bird had that.
You know who don't have that?
Who?
Luka.
Yeah.
Hey, so with that being said, we're going to sit over here and clap these.
Look at you closing it on that.
Jefferson and Claude. Salute. On the move. Yeah, on the move. But hey, we appreciate y'all. It was a great episode. We can't wait to see you next week. Next week we have a great episode. It's all about the trade deadline. We're gonna just talk about nothing but trades. Can't wait. I'm so giddy about that.
Get it together.
That sets us up for the end of the season and sets us up for who are going to be the real ones and who are going to be the pretenders. So fire it up for next week. I'll see y'all soon. ATB Media Network.
ATB! Believe it!
Please believe it!